Okay, so I use archival inks for stamping. Obviously that was the first thing I did. Then I started stenciling with them. So this is the stencil that you'll see on here. If you stencil with your archival inks, you want to clean that off again too with alcohol. That takes it right off. You can also use the archival inks on the embossing paste, and that's kind of what I wanted to show you now. So if you look at these samples, these are all done with the archival inks on my new crackle texture paste. Here's another one here. Okay. So here's how this works. If you look at these samples here, what you do to use the crackle texture paste is you want to put down a very, very thin layer, so it takes almost none. You can use either the black embossing paste, gold embossing paste, or the silver embossing paste, and that's the color that's going to show through the cracks. Okay, so I'll show you how this works. And when I say thin layer, I mean it's really a thin layer. You can put it on and pretty much scrape it off. And I like to do an irregular, I don't like to cover the whole thing, so that when I ink it, some of the ink is going to go into the art parts material or onto my tag, and it's going to darken it, which is really cool. The one thing you want to remember with the embossing paste is you always want to clean your palette knife, because it dries like cement. So even that, if I wanted to take more off, there's how much you need, which I think is amazing. And this helps hold the crackle paste onto the surface. So I'll just go ahead and dry this. This would probably air dry in like a minute or two, because it's on there so thin. And you'll see it was kind of a butterscotch color in the jar, and when it turns to a gold, really pretty gold, you can see the color changed. And if it doesn't stick to your hand, it's dry. So that's still a little bit tacky there. If you heat the metallics, it's really kind of cool too. If you heat it a lot, it will actually bubble. I'm not sure if that you can see that. And if you put it on thicker, and if you want to not use the crackle paste over it, you can have, I can add archival over this then, and I'm going to have like a really cool textured metallic background. Okay, so that's done. So now I'll take my new crackle texture paste, and I'll just spread this on. This I like to put on kind of a medium layer, and I don't put it everywhere either. The thinner you put it on, the smaller the cracks are going to be. The heavier you put it on, the larger the cracks will be. For small surfaces like tags, I don't put it on really heavy because I tried it and I didn't like what it looked like. When you have a small surface, I think the smaller cracks look a lot better. So if you look at this tag, it's just a plain manila tag. This has a layer of the gold embossing paste on, and then the crackle texture paste over the top. And you can see all the little cracks in here. When it dries white. And then I added my archival inks over it using the blending tool, and I'll show you how to do that. The nice thing about this too is that the paste does not pop off if you use it over a paste. Okay, so what happens if you use it without a paste base? I put it on a tag and it crackles a lot, which is really cool. And then when I flex the tag, it all popped off. Not all of it, but it started to pop off, and I'm like, ooh, I like this, because it was really cool. But then I didn't want it all to pop off, so if you get to the point where you like it, paint it over with glue and seal, and that will seal all those little pieces on there, and it's nice and sturdy then. It's a really cool effect because it looks kind of like an old stucco building. So I mean, kind of depending on what you have in mind for your project, that's a fun way to use it too. Okay, so now through the magic arranger, poof, that's dry, and now we have a tag. See, I'm as good as a magician. Okay, so now I have this paste. This one I used the silver on, so the silver was the base color, and you can see it's going to show through those cracks, but I have white paste now. Okay, so if I want to change the color of this, archival is going to be my answer again. So if I I'll start with tree branch. This is kind of like a really pretty neutral color. Let's go ahead and add some of that on here. And then I'll add some of the new forget-me-not over the top. And you can see the colors will blend. Okay. And then I'll add some blue hydrangea, is really pretty too. I could do that one. this is hydrangea. This is kind of a purpley color.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really pretty color. Like I said, and I think labels are kind of hard to, they're kind of deceiving. The actual colors are a lot prettier. And for some reason, I'm not sure why, I like to use Orange Blossom over the top of all of it because it just kind of seems to unify the whole background, and it kind of tones it down and just kind of makes it blend really, and it's just, I don't know, it's just really a pretty color with any color. So you can see it kind of totally changes it. And it kind of gives you colors that are not available. They're kind of custom colors then too, which is really fun. So if I dry this now, my archival is always going to be permanent. But you can still see the metallic along the edges. You can see the metallic in the cracks. If I wanted to stamp on this, I would use Archival Ink. If I wanted to add rub-ons over this, you have to make sure that the archival is really, really dry because the archival is an oil-based ink. So the rub-ons won't stick to the oil, but they will stick to the archival as long as it's really dry. Before I dried this, if I didn't like what I had, I could take my alcohol wipe and wipe off some of the color. It won't take off all the color, but you can take off a lot of the color and change it.